host of the Gridiron.
All right, welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way, next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? It's totally free of charge. But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel, on the top description box below, top link description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. And finally, just underneath that, there's another link. Takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 9,500 members in the group. It's doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I put stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. All right. Well, the smart thing, if you put the Eagles out there, right, and you, especially with Saquon, right? You told them, I said, guys, let's get Saquon that record, right? And as soon as you get him that record, we'll pull you out, put the backups in there, and we'll just take it from there. Maybe half a football, first half, something like that. Just the Eagles pounding away, right? I would take maybe a couple quarters, and Saquon would have the record, and just have him sit out after that. You know what I mean? But the smart thing to do. And I'm going to talk a little because I can't stand the Eagles. So we're going to talk a little bit further down a portion of our program here about that, the record. Okay. But I said it'd probably take maybe like a half a football. As I said. But the smart thing to do, would be to rest everybody. And get them prepared because they can't go up in the playoffs. They can't go down. They're locked in. The only thing we don't really know is who's going to be the number 1 seed, and it just happens to work out. It just winds up being an awesome contest. You're going to have the Lions and the Vikings battling it out for the number 1 seed. I've said this before. The shame of it is with the Lions is, of course, they're totally, the defenses, they're going to just have to outscore everybody because the football gods have not been kind to them. It's not something you sign up for. We're going to try to get to the Super Bowl, but make sure you decimate our defense, football gods. Make sure you not all of our starters, just knock them all off. We'll have 13-string defensive players in there at the end of the season, and we'll try to beat everybody 59-58. They didn't sign up for that. They got decimated by injuries. Other teams are lucky, and they're not as decimated by injuries. But the Vikings, so whoever winds up being number 1 is, will certainly be worthy of it, right? I'm saying, but with the Eagles, is they're locked into number 2. It doesn't matter who winds up winning. That's that season. I'm sorry, excuse me. This season is, that division is. You got 2 teams that are 14-2. And I said, and quite possibly, it is what it is, right? But the Lions lost a tough one to the Bills. I said the Lions have the defense is just totally decimated. had the Lions were healthy on defense, they might have won that game. I mean, they could possibly literally be 15-1 playing against the Vikings, or 14-2. I mean, it's just crazy. But I said, then don't forget about the Packers. I mean, 11-5, I believe they are. They could possibly, they're playing the Bears, so they could be 12-5. I mean, you're gonna have in that division, right? You're gonna have somebody 15, and honestly, I don't know. Just don't know. If there's a tie, I could look it up. If there's a tie, who would win? If the Vikings and the Lions both line up 14-2-1, who would win the division? Because that's a possibility. But for the most part, somebody's going to be 15-2 in that division. Somebody's going to be 14-3. And quite possibly the Packers might wind up 12-5. I mean, what a division. So let's see. So the Eagles will wind up playing. They'll be in the first round. They'll be the highest seeded team. They'll play the lowest seeded wild card team, which would wind up being. Let's see, who you got? You're going to have, the Lions or the Vikings will be a wild card team, as crazy as that would be. Then you would have the Packers, then you would have the Commanders. Right, so whoever, once again with that, if the Commanders and the Packers both wind up, say, 12-5, because the Commanders are playing the Cowboys, right? So if the Commanders and Packers both wind up 12, I'm not sure who would be the lowest seeded team there. That I don't know. But it's going to be it'll be a little challenge, because remember, let's not forget with the Eagles, right? They played the Packers first game of the season in Brazil. The Eagles pulled it out. Either team could have won. The Eagles pulled it out. Credit to them in Brazil. That first game was it wasn't the first game. It was the second game, I guess it was. It was a Thursday night game. I think that was a Friday night game, I guess it was, maybe, in Brazil. But that was a great game. Really, really good game. Eagles pulled it out. And then let's not forget, one of the three losses on the season that the Eagles have was to the Commanders. So, that could be a very exciting game, that playoff game. But to the best interest of the team, the Eagles, just to rest everybody, and that's the goal, is to get to the playoffs, get to the Super Bowl, and win the Super Bowl. That's I mean, if he starts putting his players in there now, obviously, odds are they would make it through a first half of football healthy, because for the most part, they've had some injuries, but they especially on their offense, Goddard's missed some time. Hurts is still in concussion protocol. He may not be able to play, right? But I'm saying, I mean, if a lot of their guys, Devontae Smith's missed a couple games. AJ Brown's missed a couple games. Saquon, when he's played with the Giants, he gets injured more than at least half the time. He hasn't missed a down, I don't think, with the Eagles. I mean, so once again, the Eagles have been lucky with injuries. But I say the best thing to do is, obviously, is to rest everybody. So I got some articles here. Read here. Right. So yeah, Saquon will not play in Week 18. Eric Dickerson's single season record still remains intact. Now, to me, once again, it's still, Eric Dickerson holds the record, but he, and once again, I'm going to talk about this a little farther down in the portion of the program. To me, he doesn't have the record. It's, when, I'm going to go over that. To me, he doesn't have the record. So, he does, but to me, he doesn't. So Barkley will not play in the Eagles' regular season finale against Sunday against his former team, the Giants. Head coach Nick Sirianni announced foregoing an opportunity to break Hall of Fame Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record. It's a very special record that's been standing for a very long time by a great player, Sirianni said via team transcript. It's a team record that everybody's involved in, so you weigh in all those things. But at the end of the day, you just try to do what's best for the team. Again, when the bye was how guys are feeling, the bumps and bruises we can take care of. Put ourselves in a position to be able to be in this situation, and our goal are to have success and to play good the next game we play. Not only in New York, but whoever we play after that. We think this plays into that. It's not easy. It wasn't the easiest decision to go through, but we have a great people in this building and have a lot of input from a lot of different people, players including. Barkley was happy to run down history, but ultimately understood his coach's decision and supported it. Well, there's this article, but then you also, like you read, like Saquon wasn't really thrilled to death about having the opportunity to break the record because, Saquon's a team player and all that stuff and everything, but he's also, he's also looking at, he wants to put his stamp on, and there's a couple articles came out and said he wasn't really thrilled to death that he won't have a chance to break the record, which he would be able to. I mean, as long as everybody stayed healthy, it would just be a matter of time, and just keep handing the ball off to him, a certain percentage of the time, and the record would be his, But once again, the what Sirianni brought up in the best of the team, because obviously the best thing to do is to win the Super Bowl, right? But if worse comes to worse, I got it here. What 2024 now? Is that it? Nope. All right. Now, what was he? Not number 9? Number 8, apparently. Well, I'm sorry. There's 9 guys who broke 2,000 yards in a season, but he has the number. That's a shame. I mean, he's only 2 yards or 1 yard behind Chris Johnson. Let's see, 3 yards behind Terrell Davis. Derrick Henry, if he had like another 23 yards, he could pass Derrick Henry. He could go flying up the list. But I mean, as I said, he only needs 101 yards to pass Eric Dickerson, and for the season. And I'm sure with the Eagles' offensive line and all of that stuff and everything, and sometimes the poorest run defense that the Giants have, it wouldn't take them that long to have him surpass the record. I mean, heck, the way Saquon's been going, you give him the ball and he can go 60, 70 yards in one play. I mean, he could have the record by halftime. But once again, the smart thing to do would be to rest everybody. But I mean, also, it's like, I brought this up before too, right? The Eagles, as I said, I can't stand them. I can't even talk about them. I just can't stand them. There's also another, this is what I feel about them. I can't stand as far as I could trust them as far as I could spit. I mean, also another, interior motive, right? Because the Giants are drafting high. Let's give the Giants another win, and let's have them fall, 3, 4, 5 spots or something in the draft. Yeah. I could see the Eagles wanting to do that as well, too. But so the Eagles, let's see here. Eagles could use some rest since they have played 12 straight weeks of football. That's a long. Their bye was in week 5. So, as I said, once again, they've been relatively healthy. But, I mean, you play 12 straight weeks of football, everybody on that team's got some bumps and bruises. And you give an extra week off, boy, I'll tell you what, that's a huge help. Huge help. Now, the interesting thing would be, right, now, if the Eagles had a chance at being the number 1 seed, right, say they didn't lose that game to the Commanders, right, and only had 2 losses. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the tiebreakers are and all that, right, but the thing would be, like, say if the Eagles had a chance maybe to be the number 1 seed, right, would they rest their players in this game or not? they could be also they would probably want to play their starters, right, to win the game, to possibly be the number one seed to get the bye week. But also, you don't want to give your starters off too many weeks. I mean, have them be off the final game of the season, then have a bye week, and then have them be off have them play week 17, then their starters don't play again for another 3 weeks or so, because sometimes they come out and they're rusty. That could be a recipe for disaster. But let's see here. All right. So we look like maybe Tanner McKee could be the quarterback. The backup could be Ian Book from Notre Dame. Go Irish, yeah. Kenny Gainwell will be the running back. Backups Will Shipley. The receivers, Jahan Dotson and Johnny Wilson. Let's see here. The starters, at tight end, CJ Uzoma, I guess. Oh, he was placed on injury reserve, opening a spot for Dallas Goedert to return. There's a chance Goddard might see some series since he missed a bunch of time. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here you go. Right, there you go, right? Offensive line could quite possibly be Nick Gates. Huh? Remember that guy? Oh, he's going to want to ball out. You know that. Oh, yeah. Then they got their guard Tyler Steen, Darian Kennard to be right tackle. Trevor Keegan could be a left guard. The left tackle could be Fred Johnson for just a few series and will likely be replaced by Jack Driscoll. I mean, wow. I mean, holy cow. I'll tell you what, if the Giants can't at least keep this game close, oh my God, shame on them. But, the Giants are going to go out there trying the roll. Hey, we did beat the Eagles last week of the season, obviously last year, at the end of the 2023 season. Right? If they got their backups in, I don't see why, the Giants couldn't make a decent game of this anyway. I mean, basically we're going, right? We're going, our starters, even though we're pretty decimated by injuries, but our stars against their backups. So, I mean, if the Giants get blown out of this game, oh my God. Phew. Let's not forget, right? It was what was it? The 2022 season, the final game of the 2022 season. Remember that? We went into Philadelphia. We didn't need the game because we were locked in, right? So we had all our backups in there. The Eagles, that was the season. The Eagles obviously went to the Super Bowl, right? 2022. And so the Eagles needed that game. We had our backups in there, and we only that was when Davis Webb was in there, right? We lost, it was like 23-16 or something like that. It was a close game. Remember Kenny Golladay caught his only touchdown reception of his Giants career in that game. Remember, Davis Webb, I think, just threw it up, and Kenny Golladay came down with it in the back of the end zone, right? I think he beat Darius Slay, right? And then and Davis Webb, remember, he ran it in for a touchdown as well too. I mean, so the Giants gave a heck of a battle that day, the final game of the season, with our backups in there against their starters. So anything's possible. So, but look for at least look for a good competitive game here. As I said, the Giants are going to go out, trying to go on a winning note. And I'll tell you, whether we beat their starters or their backups, if the Giants can finish the season, and the players don't give a rat's rear end, okay, about the draft pick. Don't care, because a lot of these guys ain't going to be on the team next year. They care less, right? So I'm saying, so if the Giants could wind up winning the final game of the season in Philadelphia against the Eagles, they'll be ending on a high note. Of course, after we would go from whatever pick 4 in the draft, we're going to slide down to pick whatever 7, 8, 9, whatever. So, but It is what it is. But I mean, I don't even know if there's a quarterback worthy. I've taken up that high. I mean, I don't know. It's just all the stuff you hear and everything like that. There'll be more reports coming out as time goes by and all and everything. But I mean, I don't know if Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward is worthy of like the number 1 overall pick or number 2 pick or whatever. So I just have to wait and see.